Family, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can achieve the upper part of the stylish gown. So to do this, you are going to be needing your basic front and back block, and here is mine. So if you would like to see a detailed tutorial of how to do this, do let me know in the comment section, and I'm going to be dropping the videos on the channel. So if you look at what I'm doing, I just close the bust dart here, and if after doing that, you're going to notice that the back side seam and the front side seam are properly aligned. Okay, I have some fresh pattern paper where I'm going to be tracing my front and my back block on, because I'm going to be altering the armhole region a bit. So I don't want to, I want something fresh to work on. So I'm just going to trace that out and get to work. Okay, so this is the fabric I'm going to be using. I'm going to be making use of this fabric. I think I love the color combination at the end of the day. And here are the measurements I'll be using: my back measurement, my bust round, my waist round, my hip round, my shoulder to nipple, shoulder to under bust, my shoulder to waist, both for the front and the back, the bust, my bust pan, my full length, and of course my shoulder to hip length. Now this is for the full measurement of the gown. But remember, I told you in this video, I'm just going to be working with the upper part. For the lower part, that is just a basic skirt, which I feel if you're a beginner, you can do this. Okay, so my back block, as you can see, I've traced it onto this fresh pattern paper. And the next thing I want to do is to work on the alteration I talked about earlier. So I'm going to be coming from that shoulder line. I'm going to be coming out by 4 inches. I'm just going to be making an extension of 4 inches. And I'm also going to be adding 1 inch just to turn my sleeve, because I'm going to be making use of hemi glue to achieve this. So after doing that, I'll just connect this straight. Okay, I'm going to be connecting this straight, slightly straight, into my side seam, and I'm just going to I'm slanting this rather a bit. Then I'm just going to curve this right into, I would curve it right into my side seam, or blending it into my side seam. And for the back block, this is just the only change I'm going to be making. Nothing else is changing. I'm going to be using a v-neck line. As you can see, my zipper allowance and every other thing remains the same. So if you also look at the way I took time to trace that dart, I follow the same shape, because at the end of the day, when you're done sewing your darts, you don't want to have any shortage. So you're going to be needing 2 pieces of this particular pattern on your fabric. So I'm going to be cutting this on fold on my fabric, and the color depends on your choice. Now for my front block, this is what I have, and the same alteration I did to the back, I'm going to be repeating the same thing even on the front block, so that it can be equal, so that when I want to join the front and the back, it will be equal. So I just extended my front by a total of 5 inches, as you can see me do, and I also went ahead to give this a little bit of slant, just like the back block, and I'm just going to be blending this into the side seam. So that is all I'm going to be doing for this particular front block. Okay, I'm going to take time to cut out the excess, and then we move to the part where we are going to be manipulating, okay, the darts a bit. So to do this, as you can see in the style displayed, you are going to notice that there are slash lines in certain places, which allowed us to be able to place or put in another fabric in place. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be starting with the midpoint from the neckline down to the lower end of the center front. As you can see me do, I'm just going to create a straight line in form of a V of the the letter V. So that is what I'm going to have. So from the neckline, I just went up, I went out by 1 inch, as you can see me do, and I traced that using my ruler down. Now I'm just going to check the mid part of my armhole as a guideline, and I just mark that as you can see me do. So from the neckline now, from the neckline, okay, I'm also going to be going that exact point where I came out by 1 inch. I'm also going to be creating another curved line in order to be able to achieve the style displayed. So I just came down by 2 inches, and from that 2 inches, I'm just going to be connecting it to the midpoint of the armhole. This is going to be another slash line. I'm going to be taking that line through with a marker to the end. Now for the last line, I used my pen here just to create out the curve. Now this is totally up to you, because if you want the exact curve, I think you just need to pay attention to how it was drawn, and then you can replicate the same. So this is just me trying to sketch out what I think the lines look like. And after I'm done doing that with my pen, I'm just going to be tracing out with my marker. So I just took my time there to trace out. You can use your pencil so that in case you do not get it the first time, you can always erase it to do it again. So this is just me tracing out with my marker, as you can see, and this is what I'm going to be working with. That's the shape I'm going to be working with for the other slash line. And of course, I just took the other line toward the mid armhole. I took it to the end of the sleeve region. So fam, this is what it's looking like at the end of the day. Now the next important thing you want to do is you want to label. Please, this part is very, very important so that you are going to know the way to align this. Labeling is important when you are working with any form of dart manipulation. It's really important. So we're going to be creating a slash line through this, but before I go ahead to continue creating the slash line, we have to close up the dart. So I'm going to be closing up the bust dart, as you can see me do. I'm just going to cut through that line down to the bust region, and I'm going to be closing that with my tape. Now this is very, very important because I don't want any darts to be visible. I want to create invisible darts even on this outfit. So what you can see me do is I went through the neckline to open up the first part of this slash line. So this will allow the bust dart to slip, because I've shifted the dart automatically down to the neckline, to the first, to the place, that particular place I labeled number one. I've shifted the dart to that point, and if you see it properly, it is opening up than usual. So I just went on with my tape to close up the bust dart. As you can see me do, you want to take your time to do this also, because of course this is very important to achieve a perfect fit and to avoid bulgy, bust region. Now the next thing I also did was to close up my waist dart, because I'm not going to be sewing any dart on this outfit. So I just cut through, then I close this up totally, and I'm just going to be making use of the tape to put this in place. Okay, so after doing this now, I just went ahead to cut through my slash line, and from then I'm going to be placing this on fabric to cut. So the next thing you want to do is please label, know the, for this particular center from this number one, remember I'm going to be cutting that on fold, but for the other piece I'm going to be cutting them like just 2 pieces of each. So please indicate. So I have number one, two, three, and of course this last part is going to be number four. So please, you want to take time to trim every edge and make sure everything is in place. So as you can see, I'm indicating. Another thing I also did was to indicate the direction to which each of these patterns would be facing. This is very important so that you don't mix up your work and you don't get confused while working. Okay, so after I'm done labeling, I'll just go ahead to place this on my fabric, both the back block and this first block, and I'm going to cut them based on my color preference. So yes, it's this I'm done. As you can see, this is the back pattern. I cut out 2 pieces for the front, 2 pieces each, 2 pieces each for number 2, number 3, and number 4. But for number 1, I cut that on fold, and I'm going to be using a black pattern, a black colored fabric rather, for that middle part. So as you can see, this is my number 4. What I did was to pin even that bust region, so that at the end of the day, I would have my fabric would look good in that particular region. So after doing that, this is just me. What I did here was to pin the center front now. That's number 1 and number 4 together. Remember, I cut number 1 on fold, right? So I pin it to both fabric, okay? Both fabric, and if you are pinning the wrong sides together, this is what the right side look like. I've not sewn it. Then the upper part, after cutting 2 pieces each, this is how the arrangement looks like. I hope you understand. In case you are confused, I would advise you take your pattern and you place it together to know which part it is. Now this is me, so I've taken my time to sew this, to iron this, and I try to notch each of these regions so that it can sleep well. Now if you have your serge, I would advise you also. So after is the final look of the back pattern after sewing in the dart and turning with facing. So all I did was to take in the zip allowance and I placed the front bodice over it. Then I decided to join it at the side seam, and I did a little bit of alteration, like I said in the beginning of the video, on the sleeve region. So I was not totally convenient with the sleeve length I used earlier, so I reduced this, I think about 2 inches on my back block, as you can see, and I curved it inner into the armhole back. So this is the new design I used. Then I turned this with hemming glue for the sleeve pattern just to give it a professional look, and I attached the skirt pattern to it, and that is all for this tutorial. I hope you learned something. Here's the final look. So this is the final look of the outfit after joining both the upper and the lower parts together. This is what it looks like. I altered my neck because I prefer the neck to come down a bit, and this is the back pattern. I hope you love it as well as I do. See you in my next video.